Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start. Policy committee, it's 9:04. Alright, so for today, we've got a little feedback on the policy. We'll bring that policy up to in the advanced opportunities section, remove the wording that accompanies the class syllabus in the first section on page 1. At LHS, counselors provide an advanced opportunities participation form and require it signed and returned at the very beginning. Okay. Alright, identification. Okay, but we don't know if Timberlake does this as well, correct?
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay.
It was alluded that they do, but I haven't talked to anybody, so I don't know that for sure.
Okay, so then what I would say is that they're going to do it the same way. Because if we put it in the policy,
Exactly.
then, yeah. Okay.
So then I did send another email just asking for the form that they use. And so as soon as I get it, maybe she'll get it to me in the next couple hours, but.
Letter grade. If you post it to the transcript. Okay. I wonder. Alright, well, let's deal with one first. So,
We do have time on this one because we haven't sent it out for survey yet, so.
oh, okay.
Remember we held off, we wanted
You're right.
to send it to the counselors first, so
You're right.
it's not, I mean, I can get somebody from Timberlake to look at it and then,
That's fine.
get access to that form while it's going out for survey.
Must be up here. Okay. Sorry, I woke up at 4 and I couldn't go back to sleep, so now my brain's like
ready for a nap.
It doesn't accompany the class syllabus, it actually comes from the counselors. So the instructors have nothing to do with it.
We just have to verify that Timberlake does the same thing.
oh, actually, I can just delete that. Is it capitalized or not? That's dumb. Form usually. Okay. Okay, so that section, I don't think.
And then the other one in question was the A maximum for the 2, 3, 4, and 5.
But we read that in statute.
I do remember that.
But the kids can use the full 4625 only for dual credit. So somehow there's something we're maybe missing. I'll look it up.
We have the statutes linked at the bottom. I mean, we spent a ton of time looking at this.
We did.
Cause that's how they're getting their associate's degree, is that 46.25.
It used to be what, 41.50?
41.25, they added $500.
Yeah, our policy still said the old one.
Yeah.
So, subject to appropriation, students will be eligible to receive up to $2,500 to use toward dual credits, post-secondary credit-bearing examinations, and career technical education examinations, which is 2, 3, and 4, and 5.
So is it, am I not looking at the right?
Are you on 46 and 3?
33, 4602. So I'm on, it says students attending public schools in Idaho will be eligible for $4,625 to use toward overload courses, dual credits, post-secondary bearing examinations, career technical certificate examinations, career technical education workforce training, and students may access these funds in grades 7 through 12 for, and then it lists them all. So it doesn't have that, I've never seen that $2,500.
Which is in the other one, 46.
Oh, it's
for
non-public
school.
That's why.
Okay.
That's new, okay, that makes sense. That's new, the non-public, which is prior to this is why,
Where we had all the,
Lakeland and Timberlake counselors,
we're working on
we're
Texas.
working with some of our private schools to, enroll kids through Lakeland schools so that they had access to the full 41.25 prior to this year. So that's
Okay. So.
So that doesn't even
So that doesn't
apply to
apply.
us, because that's non-public schools only.
Okay, so you're talking about private schools and
Mhm.
other, okay.
Yep.
Alright, so that makes sense. Please. Okay, what was her other feedback? Okay, consider this challenging.
Those conversations.
Okay, but I don't know that I agree, because we're saying, remember our conversations on challenging a course? Because what we couldn't figure out within the statute, if challenging a course was meant for high school credit or secondary credit, or, dual credit, the college.
Mm-hmm.
So for high school, because we were talking about, well, if a kid doesn't want to take a class because they feel that they already know the knowledge, how are we going to determine that they have successfully mastered whatever it is? So Lynn and I talked about it, and she agreed that the board should probably weigh in on what score would we expect for them to take from a final exam for high school credit. College, they're going to have to follow that college challenge process. We can't control that.
Right.
So that's why this says a student may challenge a course for high school credit by successful completion of the final exam of the course with a score of 80% or higher. Because in high school, they give letter grades.
I think she's saying.
But they also can get a pass-fail. So I think
Yeah.
what they're saying is they just want it to state in there, if you challenge the course, you're gonna get a pass. You won't get the letter grade. Like, you might get a 90 on the exam, but you're not gonna get an A. You might get an 85, but you're not getting a B. You're getting a pass. You'll get the credit, which it will not be a letter
And this
grade.
is what, on the State Department website, what it says, so
Okay.
just so everyone has the language, it says many school districts, so the title is challenging courses. Many school districts provide options for students to challenge courses for credit. In most cases, this means that a student would request to challenge a course by taking an exam. If the student meets the level of mastery set by the local school board for a given set of standards, the school can grant the student a high school credit without requiring the student take the course. And then it just says contact your local blah, blah, blah.
Right, so it doesn't
So-
say that we have to give a letter grade, it just says we.
Right, and
Credit.
so
Credit.
some of our discussion was, so this is specific, that language is on the Advanced Opportunities platform for the State Department, but nowhere, even in our high school diploma stuff, does it even say this. So we talked about, I have a note to bring the high school policy back, the
Mhm.
procedural piece back, and then if this gets approved in this lane, we need to add it to that as well, because it should be in both places, because you wouldn't necessarily go here if you're not taking advanced out. But it sounds like it applies to all.
Right, I think what Kim is saying in her comment is, her suggestion is that we just grant a pass-fail, because that's in alignment with what would happen if you were challenging a college course. I think
Okay,
that's what
except
she's
for
saying.
here within the policy, we have to tell them what's expected for the school district to say, yes, we'll give you
Right.
credit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
So you can
if
say
you just
80%,
say,
but that then gets transcribed as a P for pass and gives them the credit, right?
okay,
Like you can determine what, or we say 70% is good enough, or at what level do they have to show proficiency on that exam?
I think we have to have a qualifier, because you have to decide what,
Mhm.
whether
Because
it's
if
a
they-
P you have to decide
Right.
what is
What-
that
what does it
score
take
on
to get
that
that?
exam going to give you a
Right,
pass.
because if you're,
Well, 'cause
in
they
the
can-
hunt for valedictorian, a bunch of
Mhm.
classes that just have a P will impact your ability to be,
You have to take the
considered.
class and get the letter grade if you want that to count towards your class ranking. But if you just want the credit, and I know this has come in play probably more often than not, because Ryan and I have talked about this with kids coming in from homeschool that feel like they've taken these courses, they might not have the transcript to go with it because they're homeschooling.
right,
And so then they challenge the course that way, and it allows them to place them appropriately and maybe give them credits, and they're coming in saying, I should be a junior, but they don't have enough transcripts because of how their homeschool
Right.
program is.
right.
And so that, I know that's probably more often how
it's
recently
used.
it's been used.
Yeah.
Not to say that, like, we're not advertising to kids that they can challenge a course, but it's come up in some of those, or in transfer situations where a kid transfers and, kind of like in college where your course descriptions match, but the course titles don't match, so you're trying to figure out, like, did you learn what you needed, does this count? So then they just take the exam and show they learned it and move on. Mhm.
And we wouldn't, if they challenge a course and they receive less than 80%, obviously we wouldn't put a fail on, they would just have to take the class.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they just didn't successfully challenge it, so now they have to get the credit to graduate.
Would we allow them to retake the test? Cause you could have somebody ask that question.
Well, and this is for advanced opportunities. What I'm curious if for high school credit, maybe it should be 75% or 70% to be the average student.
Mhm.
Because here, we want them to be rising above the bar. I think for just high school credit in general, for the student that's not on some agenda, they could meet the bar.
Okay, so just plain devil's advocate, and this is the question I don't know. Do we
Right.
give credit for a D?
No, that's what Michelle's saying, you have to pass with a 70.
I know, but like in other classes
Yes.
that you didn't challenge,
If you get a 60, You get the credit.
pass,
so
right.
we could get pushback is my point.
Right, but I think, I would say we won't get pushback, and the reason for that is if you're challenging a class, you need to be able to show that you have, a proficient level of mastery to be able to say, yep, and I get what you're saying, but this person is being allowed to not sit through that class because they're demonstrating a certain level of
I can-
predetermined level of proficiency.
I could just see a parent saying my kid has received 10 credits with a D, and now you're saying they can't get this credit without a 75. But that's the kicker, is you're just gonna say then you have
They
to sit
earn
in
that.
person and can earn the D, but if you wanna bypass it, then it
if you
has
wanna
to be.
expedite the process, you
Yeah.
have to be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
because,
at the college level, if you challenge class, you don't earn the credit if you are less than a 70%.
I just,
So,
we all
I
just
guess
need
my
to be on the
question-
same
No,
page
yeah,
with that.
I hear you.
If this is on our advanced opportunities policy,
Mhm.
what classes apply to this that wouldn't be a dual credit class? Where you would have to follow the colleges?
Well, maybe
It
they're
isn't a
trying to,
standard
maybe
class.
they're trying to free up time in their schedule to be able to take some additional dual credit classes,
Okay.
so they're gonna challenge, I don't know, some class that we don't have dual credit in, what might that be?
Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which is
maybe-
an elective anyway, but.
Right, but if, if you're gonna go to a college outside of Idaho, a lot of them require 2 years of foreign language, so
Right.
if you're a fluent Spanish speaker, why would you sit through Spanish?
Right.
So you
And
could
just get the
challenge,
credit
yeah,
for
you
it.
could just challenge that and get the credit for it, and it would free up space in your, potentially to be able to take other dual credit
I'm just
classes.
trying to if we're gonna hold them to an 80%, but potentially hold others to a 70, are we gonna get ourselves in trouble for
Right.
expecting, like,
It
little
seems,
credit to credit?
is this where, I mean, are we adding this language, or was it already in the?
No, we're adding it because it's
So,
in red.
it just seems like this language is better suited for the other policy.
Except for it's literally on the advanced opportunities website with
Right.
all the same language.
Okay.
For the, so I just, we felt like it's literally there, we literally took it out of there on that, so.
Yeah, the only thing that, isn't on there is differentiating between high school and post-secondary, because I don't think that our board can actually give guidelines for how to challenge an NIC course, dual credit points, or, NNU. So that's why I'm like, I think it's high school credit, so that they get the credit for high school and the credit for, college. And if they need to challenge the college course, they have to go through the guidelines for the college.
Mhm.
That's what we talked about last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. But I agree with Shannon, I don't think that we can, I think it will be problematic for us if we have 80% on this particular policy, but 70% on the other one.
We
High
can
school
put it
one.
at 70%.
That's what I would do.
I
Okay.
just think that they're gonna go to the other one and say, I'm gonna challenge this course as a regular student, get the credit move, I mean, like, it creates a loophole
Mhm.
where
Yeah, and that's what I'm
There's
trying to
always a
avoid.
loophole.
afterwards, they're now gonna say, I want to use that class to take a dual credit, and then before that, I just want to be done with this, I want a free period,
Right, right.
Like, I think if you, in the sake of wanting to be transparent and kids to be
Right.
like, this is the goal and here's where we're going, let's be
Mhm.
consistent with that.
I love your nonverbal.
So if we drop
I'm
it.
trying to do better, but.
If we drop it to 70%, then, I don't know, again, going to a regular high school student who just wants to get out of school, if 60% is passing, then
I think we can have a higher expectation if you're gonna actually challenge a class.
wanna bypass
that
it,
you're,
sure.
that
Mhm.
we can say we need you to demonstrate that you have a certain level of proficiency, and, you know,
okay.
C, I think.
Then
is-
I think we need to put, when this comes to the high school, we need to put more language in there about proficiency status.
Okay.
Why it's 70%, because there will be that parent.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean, cause I
that's-
mean, really you could quantify a D as being basic and an F is below basic when you're looking
Right,
at those standards.
right.
And we need to see that you're proficient in order for us to comfortably
Right.
give you credit without taking the course.
Yes.
I can just, again, that's why I said that, I feel like a parent could come back and say, well, I received other.
Right, but we could say, you know, proficiency is 70% or higher, and, I would consider passing with a D as a basic, if we're looking at that
Mhm.
language. Yes, you passed, but you did not demonstrate that you have learned everything in here
But
that.
they would still say, if you're saying I passed, then I want the credit.
Yeah, but if
So-
this
Right.
is
But
different,
on the
because
flip
we're
side, that
allowing
kid that
them
has a
to
D,
challenge the
yeah.
course,
Right.
so we get to set that
Mhm.
criteria.
And the kid who got a D may have done really well on all his tests and just never turned in any homework.
Right,
You know, so where this student's not even required to do the homework, so.
yeah, this is truly
There's nothing
just
to
a
balance.
demonstration of
Okay,
what you
that's
know.
true.
Mhm.
Okay, so,
So are we good for this to go out for survey?
yeah, we are.
Okay. Okay, so this next one I added in, and I think I'm the one that dropped the ball on this, so in 2022 in August, I mean, we've sent this out for survey already, we've already looked at this, I mean, literally 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I tried to do the walkthrough of like what we missed, what we didn't miss, and this came to us because, we had an audit from the State Department for busing, and we had to add that exhibit 1 and then that top language in red,
Okay.
right there, and so we did all of that, it never made it to the board level.
Okay.
So Jessica emailed me and said, oh, we still need this, and so I said, oh, I'll see if I can bring it up. So I did send it to her, and I was like, this is what we had, are we making any changes, any recommendations? And she said, no, this is perfect, this is just what we need. So my question is do you want me to send this back out for survey? Do you want this just to go to the board? I mean,
You said it already went out for
Mhm.
survey?
But it was 2 years ago, August of 2022. And somehow it never, that's the measuring from the State Department that they gave Jessica. So, but I don't know where, I couldn't find it in board meeting notes, so I think it just,
The ball got dropped.
mhm.
Okay, that happens. Then, well, I do remember the meeting
Mhm.
where it was, we need to update the policy. So I say,
We can look at the results in there, but we addressed all of them. If you go to our policy notes or whatever, the folder.
where shall I find it?
So go to, if you go, what are you looking for?
The folder for this policy.
For 8110, if you go on the 3 dots in front of, yeah, right there. So then there's the input that we did actually, I don't know why it's saying that, cause we sent it
That's the
out.
last time you were in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
We sent it out to admin, I mean, we were thorough, then it never made it anywhere.
that's so weird.
I know. So I must have, I don't know.
Okay. Did we, I'll look myself. Okay. I would say just bring it to the board with the explanation instead of, going back through the
Okay.
hoops. Doesn't make any sense to do that. Yeah, it can come to this meeting.
And Jessica will actually be at this meeting, so
Mhm.
she'll be able to speak to it, so.
Okay.
But you guys, I won't be at that board meeting, so you guys can just.
I'll remember.
I don't know how I dropped the ball, and I think I did, so I think it's on me.
No big deal. just switched it to, Arial.
Oh, good.
I'm an Arial kind of gal. Times New Roman. It's just so old.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me nuts. Okay. So then when you bring it, would you please make sure it's formatted? Yes. Okay. Just a couple other things. Okay. You can do the rest. Whoa, got a lot of rest. Dang it. That's gonna drive me nuts. There we go. Okay. These number thingies, please make sure it's formatted correctly. Thank you. Alright, yay. We're moving down the road. Extended learning opportunities.
This was just another cross-reference policy attached to the,
Was it?
it was referenced in the.
Self-directed learner one.
Oh, it was from the self-directed learner one.
Oh, okay.
I
Thank
was
you.
like, you're right. Good job, good call.
Okay, extended learning opportunities. The board encourages students to pursue extended learning opportunities as a
More
way
acronyms.
to gain knowledge and skills outside of traditional classroom. The traditional classroom. The district shall allow students to receive credit for ELOs. That was a music group. Extended learning opportunity, or ELO. Why are we doing that multiple times?
Well, that's from the.
Alright, well, let's fix this. Oh wait, I should not do that, right?
I
'Cause-
think that will help. At least allow me. Sure, it'll help
as a way to
me.
gain knowledge and skills outside of the traditional classroom. Extended learning opportunity, or ELO, shall mean an out-of-classroom learning experience that provides a student with enrichment opportunities outside of a classroom setting, career readiness and employability skills, including internships, pre-apprenticeships, and apprenticeships, or any other type. Well, that should be and. Any other type of out-of-classroom education opportunity approved by the State Board of Education or the district. ELOs may include, but are not limited to, performing groups, internships, community service, apprenticeships. We're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like this, I mean, these are 2 layers of additions to this policy, and we've never had it at all, so. That's why
Really?
We don't have this policy, but the
Oh,
black was a revision that should have happened at some point that never happened, and then the red is the newest revision, but we
Okay.
don't have any of it, so.
Oh wait, no, I'm pulled. Help me out here, people. I think it should be up to board policies. All ELOs shall comply with applicable laws and regulations, including child labor laws and regulations governing occupational safety. ELOs shall not include activities for religious purposes. The district maintains a policy of not charging a fee for any course for which academic credit is awarded. In keeping with this policy and with the state constitution's requirement to maintain a system of free public schools, the ELOs may not include activities for which a fee is charged. Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah. Cause at that point, that's the student's choice, we're not.
Mm-hmm.
requiring it, but if,
Okay, so this was added.
that's coming from the Russ Jokey lawsuit.
What?
That language comes from the outcome of the Russ Jokey lawsuit against the state of Idaho for
fees.
for fees.
Okay, so let me go back. I'll load it back.
I mean, like, you look at the performing groups, if I'm part of a drama outside of school and there's a
There's a fee.
monthly fee
Right.
or whatever, or costume fee,
Mhm.
but it's,
Yeah, what about like your competitive dance groups that go through the expressions dance in
Mhm.
Post Falls? You pay a fee to participate in that. I
just
would
all of
say
the-
that
all of those performing type groups, there's a chance that you're gonna pay a fee. But they're choosing that, because
Right,
they're wanting
that's-
that to be, like, that could be my PE credit, because
Mhm.
I go to gymnastics every week
Correct.
for 4 hours and I want PE credit for that, so that, I have other, whatever.
I don't know that we need that language. I mean, we
Because-
can't
feels
tell
like it's
kids
handcuffing.
that if you're going to if you're gonna earn a PE credit, you have to go to expressions dance, or we can't say that. But if that's what the kid is choosing, we're not telling them they have to. So,
Okay, so if you. Okay, so this whole thing was added. Cause that's why when I do this, it goes away. Okay, so here's the thing. Activities for religious purposes. They're saying, so ISBA is saying that. Okay.
they're
So if someone wants to go to seminary school
Right, I was just gonna say
after
that.
high school and they're just doing an internship at their local church, and that's gonna apply towards their end goal, which they've been working with their counselor with, why would we say they can't do that?
I think because it's ISBA and they're
They're
very
trying
much,
to-
they're trying to make sure that everything we do stays away from that whole idea of a voucher kind of a system. I would guess that's why that language is in there.
Okay, so I'm taking it out. So all
The idea that we're
ELOs,
keeping that separation between. that
Church and
we are-
state.
We are a public school, not a
which
religious,
is
yeah.
so misconstrued as it is. All ELOs shall comply with applicable laws and regulations, including child labor laws and regulations governing occupational safety, period. In determining whether to approve an ELO proposed by a student or by a prospective supervising organization, the district shall consider the overall costs, benefits, costs, advantages, and disadvantages to both the student and the district.
Then we took out fees, because then that goes against the cost. Well.
Okay. Approval of a proposed ELO. An organization, such as a nonprofit organization, an Idaho business, a trade association, or the United States Armed Forces may apply to offer district students a 4-credit ELO. The application must demonstrate the opportunity. The application must demonstrate the
The opportunity will teach students.
my favorite word, that the opportunity will teach students specific Idaho content standards or the Idaho college and or career readiness competencies and subskills. Requests by organizations seeking to offer an ELO shall be evaluated by the superintendent or their designee. The board directs the superintendent to create a process for evaluating these applications. At a minimum, all applications by supervising organizations or students must meet the following criteria: provide for administration and supervision of the program, and meet rigorous standards included in the minimum standards established by the district. We have minimum standards? The board directs the superintendent to draft such standards. Do we have those?
No.
Okay.
We'll be
Considering we have a new policy, we might need new procedures to go with it.
I mean, we have state standards, I don't know, and
I
where.
wonder if they're talking about time constraint, like you'll do a minimum of X hours, if you're gonna get a credit for each credit you're receiving. You know, if they go to a conference and it's 8 hours for 3 days, is that enough to get half a credit? You know what I mean? Like, so there probably is gonna be time specific, like.
But then it also talks about they either have to meet state standards or the college and career readiness competencies, so.
So it's probably a
It
combination of
seems
all those.
like you would almost have to have separate standards for different types of experiences, you know? Because if it's a PE elective, then you're looking at the PE health standards. If it's, a veterinarian internship, now you're looking at science standards, so it's just different. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, could you put together a generic thing, you know, the application must include at least 8 state standards from the content area AO1. Okay, so now you're talking PE, these are all the things that are gonna fit my, and the kids or organization has to do the work to tie it in, I don't know.
Okay, so requests by organizations seeking to offer an ELO shall be evaluated by you. I don't understand why we put in the policy that we're directing you to do something. That just seems silly, but okay. Alright, so you need to create a process. Do we have a process? Okay,
We've never
done
this.
ELOs. Okay. So we need to create a process for this. Okay,
You're
so.
writing it down, yeah.
I have a process I have to create, and then I also have to do something about standards, I think.
This needs to come out. Let me explain why.
Okay.
Because if we're telling you to create a process and then saying, basically, the process has to, I don't think this needs to be in there.
Okay.
I think this needs to be in your process. The
Right,
standards.
that's what,
yeah.
yes, okay. I was
Because
thinking, why are they separating them?
Right, well, because if we're telling you to create the process for the evaluation, that would include, the criteria that is needed.
And which standards,
Yeah.
that's gonna be part of the process for determining whether we're gonna allow it or not.
And I don't know if maybe it's a simple, like, nothing simple in my head, but if they're coming on the guises of science, okay, well, these are the science standards, and you just identify what the standards are in brief format, not in depth, like explaining everything. So they, like, check the box. I don't think it has to be complicated.
Right, and I do think, to Shannon's point, there needs to be some language in there about the amount of time spent, because there is language in state statute about how much time per course
Right.
to earn the credit, so we would just have to figure out what we want that to be, so I will start working on that.
Okay, request by student for credit. In addition to opportunities proposed by a supervising organization as described above, a student may request credit for a proposed ELO on an individual basis. To do so, a student must provide written permission from their parent.
Or slash guardian. Are we doing?
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We're not consistent.
I wonder if somewhere we just note that anytime the word parent is used,
It means
it
anything.
means
Parent, guardian, or, yeah,
custodian.
Parent.
yeah, the very, very beginning of your
Should just start
policies.
saying custodian.
Your overseer. The warlord. Your warden. Okay. Their parents.
Very impersonal.
student must provide written permission from their parents if the student is a minor to participate in a particular, okay. It is, in addition to opportunity, okay, I don't like this first part. Let's just do this. Cross out the whole thing. A student may request credit for a proposed ELO on an individual basis. A student must provide written permission from their parents, guardians, or custodians.
Can we just put a
If the-
minor student must
Or
and
you
then
could
to
just
take,
put, if the
and
student
then,
is a minor, they must provide written permission.
So a student may request credit for a proposed ELO on an individual basis. If a student is a minor, they must provide written permission from their parents, guardians, or custodians, period. The application, well, now we're telling them they need an application.
which we
Um,
don't, so we're gonna create that.
Written permission from their parent. Alright, so if a
So
student.
hold on. Only a student that's a minor has to complete the application? Is how that sentence reads.
You're right, okay, so. Hold on a minute. So a student must complete an application for ELO, which must be signed by their parents, guardians, or custodians.
I don't know if we have to add anything about being a minor or not, because we
'Cause
already
it'll-
have a process in place at the high school level
Right.
where students, once they turn 18,
But they have to go through that whole application process to be able to
Right.
sign for themselves,
Yeah.
so.
So the application must demonstrate the opportunity.
Grammatically correct sentence.
I would say how the opportunity will teach.
That's, yep.
How the opportunity will teach the students specific IO accounting standards or the IO college competencies and sub-skills. Such application must be submitted to at least blank days. So it needs
That's
to
for
be.
the superintendent, right? Because you're the one that's setting.
No, this is from the student, so I would think it needs to go to the principal,
Mhm.
and then if the principal has caused question or concern, they go to the superintendent.
Mhm.
Like, are we even affiliated with this organization? So,
And if we create the application correctly, then the principal will be able to determine that the application and the opportunity meets the
Criteria that
expected,
you set.
the expectations.
so how many days? 30 days? 15 days?
Um,
What if it's like oh my gosh, I could totally do this. 10 days?
Right.
What are we thinking, people? You're in the power seats. I have no idea. 5
Well,
days?
I'm trying to get some research on what people have put in there and what those applications potentially look like.
I would say 10, that's 2 weeks. And then, maybe there's a caveat that, you know, well, I would think that if it was a special, situation where all of a sudden,
Right, like, cause even if you did 20 days, which is a month, you know, and something came up and they're like, this is super cool.
but I have to be able to do it right now.
Yeah, like you could expedite it as needed, but
Right.
if you give 20 days or a month or whatever.
That's between the relationship between the principal and the student.
Right.
Mhm.
Personally,
Yep.
I thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
The proposed opportunity. And seeking approval. The deadline may be waived
Perfect, there we go.
at the,
It's right there.
discretion. Alternatively, a student may apply to receive credit for an activity as an ELO after it has begun, provided the application is made within, I think it's alternatively, it should be additionally.
So in
Right.
Bonneville, they say at least 3 weeks prior to beginning the activity, students would submit the application, so they give 3 weeks.
So they give, so 15 days.
Mhm.
I think 10 days is plenty. That's
Do you
2
think-
full weeks.
Any principal's gonna have concern with 10 days? Okay,
Not if we write the application well.
okay.
Let's see if there's any samples of
A
applications.
student may apply to receive credit for an activity as an ELO after it has begun, provided the application is made within, so they start the program,
Yeah, I wouldn't want them to do it for very long before they actually seek permission, because if they get close to the end of it and then it doesn't align,
yeah.
I wouldn't, so. Instead of within a certain number of days of completion of the activity, can we say within a certain number of days of the start of the activity? So
Right, that was
No, we
mine.
can't, that's what, that we're being told, we have to say this. Yes, we can. I got you. Alright, so-
Oh, you scared me for a minute, I was like, wait, what?
Well, it's funny, it's like the same thing, like they're talking about, the beginning of that says, after it begins, but then the deadline is based on the completion, and I'm like,
Okay.
that kind of doesn't even go together.
Right. Submit an application.
Yep, yep, and, instead of and.
An application to receive credit for an activity as an ELO after it has begun,
Provided it is made with.
provided the application is made within,
We did the same thing, 10 days.
10 days, so 2 weeks. And maybe we should say 10 school days, so there's
Okay.
clarity
Yeah,
around
10 business
that.
days, yeah.
start of the activity.
Yep.
Okay.
I can't find any samples
same
of an
space.
extended learning opportunity application, so I think we're gonna have to make up our own.
Yep, I kinda just jotted down some ideas of things that we would want on there.
And look at a few more districts.
Just need a space between the and start.
Oh, you're right. Alright, there we go. The application will be reviewed by the,
Building principal.
yep. And any other district, any other staff in the district deems, no.
I'd love to know who the district is.
I don't know.
Which person is that?
Yeah.
So are they saying like if they're applying for a science credits, you'd wanna look at like, okay.
But I think what we write the application in
Mhm.
such a way that we take that need out, I
Okay.
think.
A decision will be made within, how many days will a principal need?
5 school days, just to give some time.
Of receipt of the application. Alright, here's a question. What if a kiddo wants to do this at the start of the school year? We're saying school days, school session. What if we say weekdays?
Okay.
Okay. I was just thinking about that. Oopsies.
I just know we have policies where it just says days and we don't know, is that business days?
Right.
Mhm.
So we could say business days, which
Yeah.
is more appropriate, I guess. More politically correct.
More professional.
More.
Okay, fine. Okay. Because if there is, well, I guess school days would cover that too, but I mean, like if there's a holiday.
Right.
We're not reviewing over Christmas break. I'm sorry.
Right. A decision will be made within 5 business days of receipt of the application. The student will be notified in writing of the status of the status.
I feel
Approved
like
or
this
denied.
needs to be similar to how we built our open enrollment application where we put like, if you have a denial, this is the reason why, and then this is how it's getting back to you, and then if they want to, like they have to submit that with the, I want to challenge kind of process.
Right.
And do a fillable form.
I was just gonna put it at the, like, at the bottom for school personnel, whatever.
Right.
Office use
And then,
only,
yeah,
right?
and then have the, approval or denial, or request for additional information, cause that's what it says.
But there has to be, it says they have to have a written, so then we have to send that part back, yeah.
Yeah, well, you would just share the whole application back with them.
That's what we do with the open enrollment.
Yeah. Approve, deny, or, request additional information.
But nobody has an application template, so we'll just have to make it.
And it's gonna be awesome.
Always is.
Mhm.
Especially when it's fillable.
That's right. Online. Yep. Okay. Okay. A decision will be made within 5 business days of the receipt of the application. So what I don't like about the student will be notified in writing of the status of the application, that implies that, at least to me, I've received your application. We're in the process of looking at your application. That's a status update.
Mhm.
So.
The decision?
It would be the approval or denial
Mm-hmm.
of the application, I think.
Decision of the principal. Outcome. That's another way of saying that.
So it says a decision will be made, it could be in writing.
Can we
That
just
what the
say that,
decision
that
is.
the decision's either gonna be that it's approved, denied, or
Additional information.
additional information is required? Oh, there you go, in writing of the decision, perfect.
There's like, it says right at the top, a decision, let's just use the word we used in the.
Why?
This is why
No, we
Michelle is
gotta
good at
pick
this.
new words. I'm always looking for new words to say the exact same thing. Additional information, the student must be within 1.
Do you want to say 5 business days there, since we've done everything else in?
Yeah, let's do that. Where was that? of receipt of the request. What I don't understand is if additional information is requested, so we're asking for more information, but if we're requesting additional information, it's a requirement. See, I can hang up on stupid things. All right. A student whose application has been denied may request a meeting with the building principal, or they will provide the student with the rationale as to why the proposal is denied, because we're not going to include that when we say you're denied. Oh my
That's
lord.
the in writing.
The student may submit an alternate proposal if there is enough time to do so within the deadline described above, may be included if applicable. Rejects the resubmitted proposal, the student may appeal to the superintendent. All decisions made by the superintendent shall be final. Okie doke, so this is an appeal process.
Do we want them to be able to resubmit? Do we want them to be denied and go straight to the superintendent? Like, how involved is that denial appeal process?
I don't know.
Since we've never done this.
I know. Easy decision. That word that we like so much now.
Or appeal process.
Thank you. See, my poor little brain. I've been up since 4. I'm very proud of myself because I don't like getting up early.
I was just thinking, I remember that, you mentioned that last night, so.
I hate getting up early. It's not my friend.
Mm-mm.
Okay, a student whose application has been denied may request a meeting with the building principal.
Do you wanna put a timeline on here? Within 5 days, within 10 days,
Sure.
like on our, open enrollment, we say within 5 days.
Which is the same thing we gave for them to resubmit the additional information, so I think it's consistent. You're either gonna give us more information, or you're going to give us a new application, or
Who's they?
It's the building principal, but yeah, because they had all these ors.
Mm.
The student,
will be provided.
I'm actually gonna put the rationale right on the application, so.
can we just say reason?
Mm.
Will be provided with the or
An explanation.
rationale is just so stuffy.
Mhm.
You just say explanation,
That's what I said, because other, like, justification.
student will be
Yeah. That's
provided
another-
with
that's
a
pretty
justification
formal,
as to
like-
why the proposal was denied, an explanation,
I think explanation, because I just made myself a note, so on, if it's denied on the application, I'm going to put a spot for the principal to explain why. So the rationale will be on the application, but if the student doesn't understand, then the principal can explain it.
Okay. So will be provided with an explanation of the denial. The student may resubmit an alternate proposal if there is enough time to do so.
If they were Johnny on the spot and submitted it 20 days ahead of time, and there's still, 10 days left, I don't know.
But once the process starts, they're in the process, they've already met that first timeline.
Right, and we do give them a process after it's already started. Where it would be sticky is if they submitted it
The day
after it was already
before.
started.
Or the day before it starts, or, whatever, they barely have met that, yeah.
Right.
But then they still are within that, what did we give them, 2 weeks? Like, they can start their program, and as long as within those 2 weeks of the beginning of whatever their program is, they could reapply. But would they start if they aren't going to be?
Right, and just because this gets denied doesn't mean they're not gonna continue to do whatever it is they're doing.
That's what I'm saying, if they're
'Cause-
doing it, and they're just hoping to get credit for it. If it's something that they would only start if they got credit for it, then it's a little bit trickier, but then they maybe just need to plan further ahead.
And I actually don't like the rejects, the building principals won't love that, feels very subjective. If somebody resubmits a proposal, in my mind, the process starts over again.
That's a good point.
I mean, the process is the same. I mean, ultimately, the building principal's the one making the decision, I recognize that, but when you put the word rejects, then it feels very subjective to the principal. So then I just think we just word it where the application process
See, now we have a proposal though, it's not an application.
starts
Right.
over.
Like I said, you have to use the same.
So it just
Right.
doesn't feel so subjective.
Or can't they just say may resubmit their application?
Right, somehow, but the rejection part just sounds.
If the building principal denies the application, cause that's what we've used through there,
Right,
like to
right.
use denied instead of rejected, cause,
Because then it becomes personal to the building principal instead of the process.
May reapply. Well, I think and I don't know that this would happen, but you never know. If a student applies and then it's denied and then
They have to
reapplies
hire-
again and it's denied, at what point is the stopping? Like,
Yeah,
are we
I
done
think if
here?
there's 2 submittals, then,
Okay.
or submissions, then it comes to the superintendent. I just, the language of that, the process is the same, the principal's still the one doing it, but
but I guess,
I just think rejects.
could it be a
just-
possibility where, okay, so I've applied, it's denied, I request a meeting, they give their explanation, I disagree with the explanation, could I then take it to the
Right,
superintendent at
instead
that
of
point?
resubmitting, absolutely, I mean, I guess.
That's what like if they have that meeting and their rationale or reason, explanation for the denial that they don't agree with, could they then take it to the superintendent? I would think so.
So then,
What's
is
that?
the resubmission even something that has to be in, because that could be something that you agree upon, like, so in my mind, I bring it to the principal says it's missing a few pieces, and so in their conversation, the
Right.
principal's just saying,
Do this,
resubmit, add these pieces, and I'll approve it. If the principal's just flat out, no, I'm not approving this, then are we making them resubmit something else, or is it just at that point going to the superintendent level? So do we need to even have resubmission, cause it may not even be, that could be part of the context of that initial denial.
Right, because to me, the resubmission fits in with the additional information requested.
Exactly.
Because if there's something missing or when we meet,
Right.
like I didn't quite understand this, can you do a better job of explaining, that's part of that.
So could it just be if an
Original process,
application
it's
is
not part of the
denied, then the
appeal.
student may appeal to the superintendent?
Okay.
Could be a scenario where you don't make them resubmit, but there also is a scenario where you need that additional, and so the principal would accept a submission.
So there's one for a different school district that says basically like 3 times and whatever decision is final. Like it goes.
3 strikes, you're out. You
Yeah,
can try.
pretty much.
When we're holding kids to a pretty tight
Timeline.
line,
That makes sense. Lisa, just when you're thinking about your application process, they're gonna want some parameters about what would be the cause for denial
Mhm.
in your mind.
Right, I just need to write the application in such a way that it's obvious that
Very
in order
clear.
for me to be able to approve this, these things have to be
We
in
would
place.
need both schools to do it the same,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, a student whose application has been denied may request a meeting with the building principal within 5 business days. The student will be provided with an explanation of the denial. An explanation or a detailed explanation. Doesn't matter. Okay, if the student is not in agreement with the denial, then the student may appeal to the superintendent. All decisions made by the superintendent shall be final. Alright, what's
The
that?
bottom one? Yeah, and then the student may, at the beginning of that
Oh,
paragraph.
yeah, that needs to
Can
be
go
struck.
away.
Yes.
You took care
The
of that.
student may do whatever they want.
The student may.
So note, the appeal process described in the above is not recommended for districts in which the superintendent is a staff member tasked with conducting. Okay, whatever. Go away. Okay, so. Does not recommend allowing the appeal to the board. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Yes, I don't have to do any job. Once a student-initiated opportunity has been approved as an ELO, the district may consider if an approved ELO.
Consider it.
Oh, and, okay.
So it's just straight
got it.
on.
And it's kind of like if Timberlake High School gets a course approved by the board,
Yeah.
it goes into our system. Lakeland doesn't have to come back and get that approved because
Right.
it's been
Right.
approved already, so.
Right.
The kiddo's
That
doing
makes
an
sense.
internship with a veterinarian, it's already been established and we know what the criteria are, and then that kiddo graduates and somebody new's taking it on, yes, you have to apply, because we need the paper trail, but it's gonna.
It's funny that you say that because I just got an email from a parent requesting this exact thing.
Really?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you, Lisa.
Okay.
Nature of credit awarded. If a middle level or high school student requests credit for an ELO and the district approves this request, or if the student participates in an approved ELO, the student shall receive credit toward their graduation requirements. How many credits in middle school carry over to high school?
None
One.
except for algebra,
Algebra, okay.
if they take it in 8th grade.
So don't.
Would this apply though with some of those kiddos with that pathways to success? Would it be a way that they could earn some credits if they're behind, you know, like you have to do summer school and?
It also aligns with the self-directed learner
Right.
In the middle school.
Because there could be a scenario, I just don't know where this would count, so like, could a student take, I know of one student that took algebra as a 7th grader, and then took geometry as a 8th grader, and then took, classes through IDLA, summer going into freshman, would that be considered middle school, or does that all come into that freshman year?
Yeah, but they're allowing elementary students to take ELOs as well, which I didn't comprehend that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Towards mastery of their skills.
I feel like middle school could have some gray, maybe, but I don't, how would elementary?
Well, maybe it's toward their credit of graduating from 8th grade.
Would it be elective credits?
Well, I was just thinking, like, if you had an opportunity to do an apprenticeship or an internship with like a geologist, could you get earth science credit for that?
But you'd
But-
still have to take earth science. Like,
Well, that's the question, cause that's what this is saying, so.
Or the other, like
we have
if
to
you were
decide.
to
And I-
take a 4-week, a student when I was at Cootney, he took extra time at spring break and they did 4 weeks in Egypt. Could they create kind of their own, I want some sort of history credit, it would be a history elective credit, humanities
see,
credit on
I
our
was
end.
thinking it would be elective because in my mind, You can't give a credit if you don't have the full entirety
Right.
of the standards specific to that.
Right, they might not get
But you could with
world
an
history, but you
elective.
could do.
Except if you can test out of the class without having taken the course,
Mhm.
it's along the same guidelines.
Mhm. Yeah, but that would then start the testing part of that. You'd have to take the test. If you have, because when you look at the standards specific to ERS, it's not just one little
Right,
part.
it's- yeah,
They'd
it's-
have to be able to show mastery of the whole.
Mhm.
But an
But I think
elective
about-
could be different.
Yeah, like
though.
when those kids take some, like if you, even if it was over the course of a summer, if they spend their summer
Yeah.
traveling in Europe, could they get an art history credit and a,
Yeah.
But at the middle level, the only thing we count toward for pathways for promotion are the 4 core
Mhm.
subjects. We don't-
So that would
Yeah.
count with those pieces, but this is part of the,
Look at your
Um,
email that I just sent you, Lisa, and just cause this is this scenario.
cause the other way,
I just got it an hour ago,
That's
so.
funny.
it's very similar to what you talked about though with our, self-directed learning. Got that kiddo that's
Mhm.
traveling on a hockey team that's taking him all over the country, and part of his job is gonna be to journal some of the landmarks and those things, and he's gonna earn a geography credit, whatever. It might not be a core class credit, but it's still gonna help keep them on track to complete the credits to stay at their grade level and move on with their class. I don't know.
Yeah, again, you'd have to, so we do offer a forestry class at Timberlake High School, but we would have to,
We're being recorded.
yeah, I won't say any names, but, you would have, I'd have to put that application together and we'd have to look at what the standards are that are taught in that class, and they'd have to ensure that all of those standards are met.
Right.
Okay.
to go through the class.
Well, here it says, if the extended learning opportunity is approved, the student's school district or public charter school, then the student shall receive credit toward district or school-specific graduation requirements if the student is a middle level or high school student, or mastery towards, by the State Board of Education, then the student shall receive credit toward state graduation requirements if the student is a middle level or high school student, or mastery toward skills. Each school district and public school, charter school, whatever, shall adopt an extended, provide a process through which, define the which entities are eligible.
I mean, I'm basically reading that at the
No,
elementary
contract
level. It means that you're not being penalized if you're out doing something, if you can show some mastery, because we don't have credits, but at the high school and middle school, it's.
Alright, well here it says define criteria that the school district or public charter school will use to determine whether a proposed extended learning opportunity qualifies for credit toward core of instruction graduation requirements, electives, or required skills or standards.
Yeah.
So they can earn credit for core subjects.
Yeah.
Right, but we would have to define, like, what
What?
percentage of the standards do they have to actually tell us that they're gonna meet?
If you're taking a history and you want, and history's a bad one, let's just say you want math credit, you'd have to be able to show, these are the requirements for Algebra 1, you'd have to be able to show some proficiency or mastery for all of those concepts, or we're saying 80%, whatever that is.
Well, it does state that,
Elective, I feel like
Okay.
elective is gonna be the easier route to go.
Mhm.
But on the other, like, I guess which I didn't think about this in the elementary realm, if you have an elementary kiddo this applies to, even as a parent, it might be a whole lot easier to say, we're gonna track our mileage for, and the distance,
Right.
and we're gonna find our average rate of speed when we
So
travel,
then you're just
all
not
those
penalized
things.
while you're out.
Like, here's the ways
Right.
we're gonna practice these math skills, and we're gonna teach them a little bit about geometry when we're looking at, whatever, and
right.
a parent might be a little more confident in doing it that way. If I'm pulling a high school kid out, and we're
Right.
gonna be gone for a month, and they're in Algebra 2,
Right.
that's gonna be a little bit harder to meet those standards without
Right.
having, through some sort of internship or, but
Right.
if they're doing an internship at a medical facility, is there a lot of math involved? It could be a math
For sure.
applications credit, like it might not be algebra, but it could be math apps.
So then just playing devil's advocate scenario, so I have a situation where, I'm out for just a month of Algebra 2. Then when we say that proficiency would be around like, not an end of a course, but a unit course assessment, if they can show that this.
See, then I
these are the-
don't think that fits this scenario. I think
You don't
then
feel
they're
like it would
looking
at all?
at,
Okay.
Mm-mm.
then
Because
they're going through the,
that's just-
Then it's the
half-
self-directed
Yeah,
learner.
right.
That's
part?
just an
Okay.
attendance kind of a thing.
Then they're
now.
gonna try and figure out what their plan is within the self-directed learner, which has such a broad, I just want an
Okay.
attendance waiver.
I
and
just,
maybe
those are
some-
the things that I think the principals are gonna ask the
Mhm.
question, when is this gonna be applied, when is the
This one, they wanted
self-directed?
credit.
Exactly,
For
but I just,
something they're doing outside.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but when you think of a semester, just, those are some of the things logistically that I think the principals will ask about.
Mhm.
But like, we already give, like, we did credit for work experience.
Mhm.
So I think all of those types of things fall within this. So now, do our work experience kids have to fill this application out to qualify for? Or is that its own, I mean, I don't know, but those would be questions that would, because we do have some credits that happen outside of our school
Because we
day.
have been doing this,
But we just don't have a policy to go with it.
exactly.
But we've only been doing it with the
With
work
work
experience.
experience.
And I think we probably have a course code for that. So it's actually a course
Gotcha.
where this is, could be lots and lots of
Yeah.
different things,
Mhm.
so.
This is exciting, like, it's cool and just,
I just need to know what the parameters are.
this will be one I would really want the principals,
Starting in 2023, a high school student may request credit for a course by demonstrating an understanding of subject area content standard. The board of each school district shall adopt policy to provide a process through which a student may request credit for prior knowledge.
That's the challenging.
Right,
That's Lisa's
establish
task that she's.
methods by which a student can demonstrate knowledge of the subject area content. Methods may include, but are not limited to, assessments, performance-based assessments, presentations, major projects or papers, performance or portfolios, or other methods independent of instructional time and credit hours. Determine the qualifying
we
score
should
or
write
grade.
this policy, this statute down.
This is 32.
This is challenging a credit.
But still, it just,
But it is the extent
It will
learning
help.
opportunities.
it
It's
will
like,
help
yeah,
build
Yeah.
the application.
33.
Determine the qualifying score or grade, the minimum
telling
of
you
which
what to do.
should not exceed 80% that a student must earn in order to receive a pass or earn credit for a course.
So we could put in the application that if this internship or whatever experience is going to earn you a credit in a core subject,
Mhm.
You still have
that
to
there
pass
will
that.
be you will have to pass
Mhm.
the assessment to show that you.
And if it's not, maybe they then have to
Then
give a
they-
presentation or have a portfolio, some sort of end
Yeah,
of
I mean,
course project.
Something from.
Or if they don't pass the test with an 70% is what we ended up with, they could, the course could be used as an elective instead of the core
Mhm.
class.
Mhm. Yeah, cause it's both options,
Mhm.
yeah.
But I do
And,
think
well, actually, it's 3, cause it could be a work experience, I guess that's still an elective, right?
Here is something that I think is important also. It says if a credit is earned under this section, a student may not subsequently receive credit for a course earlier in the course sequence in the same subject area.
you can't get 2 biology credits.
So,
You could do a biology and anatomy and physiology, because those are
Okay,
different, but you can't
but
do 2. You
what
can't get
if
2.
you have never taken Spanish 1 and you're getting credit for Spanish 2, you don't ever get credit for Spanish 1. Is what this is saying.
Mhm.
So,
So start
Do you
with
see what I'm
one.
saying?
Oh, yeah,
so if you skip over the 1 and you go to the 2, or if you skip over 1 and 2 and you go to the 3, you don't get 1 and 2.
You can't go back.
You can't go
those.
backwards.
Yep.
So I think that needs to be, not that, I mean, you know,
Mhm.
I'm thinking of a
So
Sheldon.
I'm
I don't
gonna,
know.
I'm
I
going,
just-
so I will
you know,
include in the
If
application.
it's important to them. they
Because
need to
that is
understand
different than at a
it.
college level, you're gonna take the highest one, waive it, and then it
Right.
subsequently is fine.
Exactly,
Yeah.
where at high
This
school
is
it's not.
Exactly,
So
necessarily.
We're
that
not
could be
talking about-
problematic.
Like, it's not stated in there what the prerequisites are,
Right.
and in some cases you can't go to a 400 level until you've met those prereqs.
Mhm.
Right.
It's the same concept.
So I will include that number 3
Okay.
in the application so that students.
I just think this statute is a good guideline.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. This is credit for prior knowledge. Okay, let's go. And I think there was one more. Rulemaking authority. State Board of Education may promulgate rules dealing with the previous. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you for your information. All right, so now let's go back to policy. Where were we? Here we are. Okay, we were down here. Appeal process. Once a student initiated, okay.
We talked about that. I think we're at the credit rewarded part.
Okay, well, I kind of got hung up on this because if it's a student initiated opportunity, I would think if it's an organization, because up here,
Mhm.
It talks about the organization applying.
right, if the organization applies, I would think that it would then deem that any kid could qualify for that organization. If it's student initiated, I think it's specific to that student. So what am I missing? Because I would think every student is going into something for whatever it is that student wants to gain, and not every student's doing it for the same reason or same knowledge base or whatever.
Mhm.
So
Nor are they all going through the same organization, so the
Right.
activities and the
Or the time frame, or
it's all
the,
different.
you
Yep.
know.
So I don't see how it would be approved. What I do think it could help is within a database, if we see, oh, all these students are going, well, then maybe we need to have the organization apply so that we can say any kid that applies for this organization is
Doesn't have to do this.
acceptable.
That's
Yep.
part of
Right.
the system.
Yep.
Well, but
So,
then, like, when you look at that.
I want to strike this out.
Mm. And maybe move it up under the,
Put it under where the organization
Mhm.
is, what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, because if like Golden Glow, if they wanted to do one through them as kind of a work experience, but my goal is to maybe get a business major, they may take on managerial roles and have to do scheduling and ordering and inventory and those kinds of things, where maybe somebody else is like, I want to be in charge of their social media, and you're like, because I want to
So
learn
the
marketing.
marketing side.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so their applications would look different based on their intent from their end goal.
Yep.
So like we have that internship program through the Parks and Rec.
Mhm.
That would be one that
And
could,
even the
Parks and
city
Rec
of-
could apply.
Even the
And
city
they
of
could get credit.
Rathdrum
Mhm.
for their.
Yeah, that's what I mean, some Park and Rec through City of Rathdrum. That could
Well, no,
become,
but like the Rathdrum Chamber does
Oh.
their ambassador program.
both
Yeah.
of those, if
Mhm.
the entities chose to,
Mhm.
could then say, we are gonna pay you, but you also can get credit for this.
Mhm.
I mean, those are existing programs that might fit within this.
I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say here, but once the organization's been approved, the district may consider it approved, may consider it an approved deal for all students.
That, to me, starts the process.
Right, but is it may or is it
I think it,
shall?
yeah, I think it should be shall.
Mm-hmm, I do too.
'Cause I'm like, why are we wavering?
Right, if it's a may, then why would we even put the
Why
language
just
in
leave it
there?
out?
Right.
It's like,
Okay. Nature of credit award, where are we at there? Jerk. Okay, nature of credit award. Sorry, my brain is not happy today. If a middle level or high school student, oh, we were, okay,
This
yeah,
is where we were.
we were right, alright. So, the district approves a request or if the student participates in an approved ELO, the student shall receive credit toward their graduation requirements. Okay, or towards towards mastery of their required skills or standards. The district may award elective credit for an ELO that does not qualify for credit toward core instruction graduation requirements.
I feel
Okay.
like that's exactly what the law says.
Right. The board directs the superintendent to draft criteria for determining whether a proposed learning opportunity will qualify for credit toward one or more core subjects, elective credits, or required skills or standards. Granting of credit shall be based on a student's mastery of Idaho content standards or the Idaho College and Career Readiness competencies and subskills. Credit counted toward a core subject shall only be awarded for ELOs which align with the content standards of a course for which core credit is awarded. The superintendent may designate a teacher with expertise in teaching a subject area to determine whether an ELO meets these criteria and qualifies for credit.
So she's
That
gonna
would
have to
be
get
like
a
if
full
you're,
review on, is this enough work to get biology credit?
Well, or a well-being, or
Mhm.
when you're talking about Idaho career, I mean,
Mhm.
I would just, I mean, I'll talk to the principals, but my suggestion would be if it's going to be for a core credit, they have to take the final and pass it with 70%.
that's what I would think.
Yeah, and it's not gonna hurt to say that you're gonna have the content area specialist weigh in on it, like, here's that application, does this look good enough? Does this seem to fit, and are these the right things to be doing to be?
Well, especially because.
'Cause you wanna set them up
in
to
that
be
language, it
successful.
said a performance piece, so
Mhm.
they have to demonstrate a competency.
Right. Right. Well, if their goal is to get the credit, are we setting them up to be successful to pass that test at the end? Like if we approve something and at the end they had no chance of passing the test because it wasn't the right content, then we did them a disservice.
Right. I would, for that next one, I would just do a pass.
I was gonna say, how are we
I-
determining a grade
Yeah.
on,
I mean, I guess if it's a core class and they take the final assessment and they get an 85%, I would be willing to give them the B for
Mhm.
that. But then we have to go back to, I think we have to do this the same way we do the challenge, and we're not
Mhm.
gonna give them a letter grade. So this one, I would think we would do the same. Keep it the same.
Where are you at on this?
Right there, so basically, what I think, just to stay in alignment with the last policy we just did, that, that any credits earned would be pass-fail, and not a letter grade.
Mhm.
Just like when you challenge a class, they're not gonna get a letter grade for that, they're just gonna get the pass on their
Is
transcript.
that what we do with our work
With-
experience
Mhm,
and
it's a
our
pass.
PE, like the kids who do
Mhm.
sports, they get a
Yep,
PE
it's a
credit for
pass.
sports?
Yep. Yeah.
Cause otherwise you're in a, like, where we're 80-20 or whatever it is, 70-30 on almost all of our weights. So 70% of their grade is based on that assessment they're taking, but then what do you do for the 30%?
Right.
Do you assume it's 100% because they completed the
Well,
program?
it says credit earned outside of school may not be used to calculate average daily attendance
Or
or enrollment. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was thinking, grade point average.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in there that said that we had to give a letter grade.
Okay.
I just think we
So
stated-
we're gonna determine the number of credits to be awarded. Any
Can they take
credits
a full 6
earned.
credits, or they can only take up to 3, or?
So the credits calculate towards the grade point average?
So I think instead of saying that, I think we would say that, a student,
Completing an ELO,
would earn a pass for that.
successful completion of an ELO will.
Earn a pass, not a letter grade. Same language as what we just put in that other policy.
Alright, so successful completion of an ELO will award a student a letter P for passing on their math transcript. A student will receive credit but not receive a letter grade. Perfect. Will receive credit, well, do we need to say that it counts for graduation?
Credit toward graduation requirements.
Okay. The board may direct the superintendent or their designee to track approved ELOs and may direct the superintendent or designee to make information on approval ELOs available to guide students, parents, and members, and may be interested in pursuing or offering. Okay.
So they're wanting the potential for like a running document that would be online that could be like, what's out there,
Here are
what
some
the kids done.
ELOs that have been approved to, as a guide, or they make a copy of it and add their own flavor and.
Since we keep directing you to do things in our policies.
Similar to that running document we have of the approved courses, but instead of being courses that are approved.
And then can you
it's-
just say, and take out the and may direct again and just do, and make information, if you wanna keep that. So track the approved ELOs and make information on the approved ELOs available.
So to track approved ELOs to make information on.
So
okay,
And,
hold on.
make it an and
Okay.
instead of two.
Leave it around in there.
Yep.
Make information on approved ELOs available to guide students, community members who may be interested in pursuing or offering. Okay.
Let's put that under the,
Well, and even if you just had it in a
Community
file, if somebody requests it like that email, you're like,
Right.
here's some examples. Like it
Right.
wouldn't have to be, it doesn't say it has to be available to everyone, but it's available
Right.
at request.
Well, it is
or-
available to everyone by.
By request.
FOIA, yeah. But having it accessible so people can see it is probably a good idea. I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe we're opening Pandora's box here. Who knows?
Yeah, it's like, well,
Alright, so any ELO shall be the financial responsibility of the student's parent, guardian. Custodian. The
yeah.
student.
Hmm.
This is what I just don't do it. Will be responsible for providing transportation to and from the off-campus site. However, the district may choose to provide no.
No, please take that out.
More expense to the district.
Mhm.
All right.
If it's part of your natural bus stop, yes, you can still ride the bus to get to your.
But we're
Yeah,
not gonna
I guess that would be
create-
the only exception if they, can you stop at,
Right.
whatever, the veterinary
But I
place
think
in
that they're
Athol.
just working through the transportation.
Yeah, you don't need to
on
put it
their
in
own.
policy, I guess it would be, yeah.
The organization supervising any ELOs shall be responsible for the student's personal safety and well-being. A signed agreement among the school, the student, and the student's parent, guardian, or custodian. Hold on, I have to come all the way back up to the top.
Right there.
Yeah.
And just backslashes instead.
Yep, let's just be consistent. At least in this policy. Or
I think you were onto something when you said at the beginning of policy, if you just said parent defined as,
oh yeah,
and you just use that all the way through always and know it implies all three,
Mhm.
would be smart.
yes it would.
We actually have that in policy, we just did it in the one, remember, we had to define it
Oh
for the
yeah,
law.
we did.
Mhm.
We did.
Yeah, but just so we would put it
That
at the
was
top
the
of
advanced
like.
opportunity, the
Mhm.
law literally defines it.
Okay, so a signed agreement among the school, the student's parent, and a designated agent of the supervising organization may be required for any ELO, before any ELO will be approved by the district. The agreement should specify the roles and responsibilities of each party. Okay.
Shouldn't that just be part of the application?
So in other words, should it say supervising organization shall be required, so then they know that's part of that application, that they.
So this should be application. See, they always pick different words.
Mhm.
Or you're having to create an application and an agreement.
Or an application signed by,
Okay. An application signed by,
and it would be the principal, cause I'm pretty sure that the school doesn't have the ability to sign anything.
Headquarters building could be haunted, you
student.
never know.
the parent, guardian, custodian, and a designated agent of the supervising organization.
Will be.
Will be required before any ELO will be, any ELO, before an ELO will be approved by the district. The agreement should specify the roles and responsibilities. Must specify the roles and responsibilities of each party.
Do we have to change agreement to application?
Oh, yeah, we do. Thank you. Okay, hold on though. I guess because I don't Alright, so our application's already probably gonna, is it gonna have like a box that says, this is the responsibility of the school, and then somebody's gonna fill it in? And then,
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we just have that on there and then each
Okay.
agency signs.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. It is the student's responsibility to maintain academic standing and enrollment in the approved program. Now we have a program. Oh my gosh, these people. Alright, so need to leave. I am so sorry. Oh my gosh, here, take over. Thank you for reminding me. Oh my gosh, I have to leave. Oh my gosh. Thank you for reminding me. Oh my gosh. We can do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
It was lovely seeing you.
Oh, this is great being here. Thank you. Thank you.